Some moments split your life in two. For me, it happened at what was supposed to be a celebration dinner. It was our second engagement anniversary. Emily wanted to Kevin it at Il Giardino, the Italian place where we'd had our first date. There were 8 of us around the table, me, Emily, my brother Michael and his girlfriend, my buddy Brian and his wife, plus Emily's brother Kevin and her sister Amanda. The evening began perfectly. Emily wore that blue dress she always called her lucky charm. She looked stunning, laughing at Michael's jokes, trading stories with Amanda about the wedding plans. I honestly thought the night would be proof that I'd made the right choice in asking her to marry me. The wine kept flowing, and Emily grew more talkative after her second glass of Chianti. But there was a different edge to her tone that night, less playful, more reflective. The shift came when Brian brought up the subject of first loves. I don't remember exactly how we got there. Amanda had mentioned something about her old college boyfriend, and soon everyone was trading funny teenage stories. We were all laughing, shaking our heads at our younger selves, when Emily's mood turned. She held her glass, swirling the wine like it might give her answers. Michael had just finished telling a ridiculous story about playing guitar under the wrong girl's window, and the table was roaring with laughter. That's when Emily's voice cut through. At first, I didn't catch it. What did you say? I leaned toward her. She lifted her eyes and said quietly, Daniel was different. With him, things were intense. Daniel. Her ex. The one she'd sworn she'd moved on from years ago. The guy she told me had broken her trust so badly it took her years to open up again. The laughter died instantly. The silence that followed wasn't light, it was heavy, suffocating. Emily went on as if she didn't notice. Daniel knew me in a way no one else has. We had this connection, like we could read each other's minds. I felt every word land like a blow. Brian coughed into his napkin. Laura, his wife, glanced at me with pity that burned worse than anger. Amanda tried to intervene, but Emily pushed forward. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't left him. If I'd fought harder. Her voice was calm, almost dreamy. Michael set his fork down hard against his plate, the sound echoing across the table. Kevin stared at his napkin, like he wished he could vanish. I sat frozen. It was like watching a car wreck in slow motion, knowing the impact was seconds away. Then Emily looked straight at me, and instead of pulling back, she smiled. That half-sad smile I'd once thought was mysterious. Only now I realized, it was nostalgia for another man. If I could go back, she said, her voice clear, every syllable cutting the air, I wouldn't have left Daniel. I regret choosing stability over love. Her words hit harder than a slap. 8 people sat there, staring at me, some with pity, some with shock. Emily's face drained of color the moment she realized what she'd admitted. No, I didn't mean, she tried, but it was too late. I called for the check. My tone was steady, almost casual, like I was asking for another basket of bread instead of processing my fiancée's confession. Brian fumbled for his wallet, offering to cover his part. I told him not to worry. Michael leaned in, whispering if I was okay. I lied and nodded. Emily tried to slip her hand into mine. I pulled it back, not with fury, but with the cold distance that comes when you're clinging to composure as your world collapses. The car ride home was unbearable. Emily kept talking, tripping over apologies, blaming the wine, saying it was just a silly wave of nostalgia, that she loved me, not him. But I knew her too well. I knew the difference between her soft little lies and the truths that slipped out when she wasn't guarding them. And what I heard that night was the raw truth. We got home around 11:30 that night. Emily went straight to the shower, probably so she wouldn't have to say anything else. I stayed in the living room, staring at the engagement ring she'd left on the coffee table when she took off her blazer. $22,000. 2 years of saving. 6 months searching for the perfect one. All of it for a woman who admitted she wished she was with someone else. I sat on the couch and broke down. Not from sadness, but from pure humiliation. I had been blind. The signs were always there. The old photos of Daniel she never fully tossed out, one always managed to surface in a drawer. The way her eyes lit up whenever someone mentioned college. The constant comparisons to before, never giving me details, but leaving me with the feeling I'd always come second. Even the way she'd been saying, "I love you," lately, like she was trying to convince herself it was true. Emily came out of the shower around midnight and found me stretched out on the couch, staring at the ceiling. "Are you coming to bed?" she asked softly. "In a bit," I said. But I didn't go. I stayed awake all night, watching the sky turn from black to gray, making the hardest and most obvious decision of my life. At 6 in the morning, I started making phone calls. The venue. The photographer. The florist. One by one, I cancelled everything. Lost several deposits, but I didn't care. Some vendors were kind, others were cold, but none of it mattered. By 8, Emily came down expecting coffee and maybe some awkward talk about the night before. Instead, she saw a stack of cancellation receipts on the kitchen table and my suitcase waiting by the door. "What is this?" she asked, her hands shaking as she lifted the papers. "It's exactly what it looks like," I said, pouring coffee for myself. "The wedding's off." Her face crumbled. "You can't be serious." "It was just the wine talking." "You know that." "Really, Emily? You're going to blame 2 years of pretending on a bottle of Chianti?" Tears rolled down her cheeks, big, heavy sobs that once would have made me fold. "I love you," she whispered. "I know I didn't sound like it last night, but I love you. You, not him." I grabbed my suitcase and walked to the door. "If you love him that much, go to him. But I'm not going to be your backup plan." She followed me to the car, begging, swearing we could fix it, promising it would never happen again. I started the engine, rolled the window down, and said the last words she'd hear from me for 3 months. "Goodbye, Emily." I moved in with my brother Michael downtown. He and his girlfriend basically shared the place, but they gave me space and didn't press for details. The first 2 weeks were brutal. Emily called daily, texted non-stop, filled my inbox with long emails. She even showed up at my office one afternoon, crying in the lobby until security had to walk her out. I didn't answer. Every ignored message felt like a small victory. Michael thought I was being too cold. He told me people make mistakes, that a 2-year relationship deserved at least one real conversation. But I couldn't shake the way she said Daniel's name at that dinner, like it was sacred. Then, one Friday night, everything shifted. Brian, my friend since college, came over with a bottle of whiskey. He'd been there that night with his wife Laura. They'd seen it all. He sat down on Michael's couch with that look that told me he was about to say something I wouldn't want to hear. "Bro," he started, pouring himself a heavy drink. "I've got to tell you something. About Emily. About Daniel." I braced myself. "Laura was talking to Amanda after that dinner," he went on. "Amanda felt guilty and let some things slip. Turns out, Daniel never cheated on her." The words hit me like a beer Robert. "What do you mean?" "Emily always said he was unfaithful. That's why they broke up." Brian nodded grimly. "That's the story she told everyone. But the truth? She left Daniel because you came into the picture. He was broke, studying for his master's, working part-time jobs. Meanwhile, you had a steady job, a nice apartment, a new car. She chose stability. She made up the cheating story so Daniel wouldn't fight for her, and so when she started dating you, she'd have an excuse for all her so-called trust issues." I sat frozen, trying to process it. All those years, all that guilt she claimed to carry, it was built on a lie. "Emotional problems," Brian had said. "Bro, you were her plan B from the start." That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was heartbroken, but because I was furious. 2 years of my life wasted, comforting a woman over a betrayal that never even happened. 2 years of being the good guy who helped her heal. 2 years thinking I was her safe harbor, when the truth was, I was just the guy she chose so she wouldn't have to be broke. By Monday, my anger had hardened into something else, resolve. I hired a private investigator. I know it sounds extreme, but I needed the truth, not just rumors. His name was Robert Dawson, an ex-cop who now handled cheating spouses and ugly divorces. He charged $200 a day plus expenses. I handed him everything, Emily and Daniel's names, where they worked, addresses, the whole story Brian had told me. Robert said it would take a week. 3 days later, he called. "Meet me at the cafe near your office." When I got there, he was waiting with a thick manila folder. His expression told me it was bad. "Good news and bad news," he said, ordering black coffee. "Good news, you were right to be suspicious. Bad news, it's worse than you think." He opened the folder. My stomach dropped. There they were, photos. Emily walking into a roadside hotel called Sunset Inn. Daniel arriving 15 minutes later. Both of them leaving together 2 hours after. The timestamps? Every other Thursday. For the past 8 months. Exactly when we'd been engaged. Robert slid more evidence across the table. Old text messages pulled from the phone Emily had claimed she'd lost last year. She backed them up without realizing. Her words made me sick. "I miss you so much. He's good to me, but he's not you. I'll find a way soon." The most recent one was a week before that disastrous dinner. Daniel had written, "When are you going to stop playing house and just be with me?" Emily's reply, "I need more time. Our financial situations both need to stabilize." I pushed the folder away. Financial situations? Robert gave a bitter smile. Daniel isn't broke anymore. He owns a software company. Sold an app to Google last year for $3 million. She's been waiting for him to have money. It clicked instantly. Emily had used me as her financial safety net while Daniel built his empire. And now that he had cash, she was preparing to switch back. Only she slipped, her little confession at dinner revealed too much, too soon. "How much do I owe you?" I asked. Robert shook his head. "Nothing. My wife cheated on me 5 years ago. I know exactly how you feel. Consider it a favor from one betrayed man to another." That afternoon, I called a lawyer. Not to go after Emily, but to protect myself. We had a house together, joint savings, joint investments. The lawyer told me I needed to move fast. Since we weren't married, I had options. I transferred my share of everything into separate accounts. Put the house up for sale. Emily would find out eventually, but by then, the damage would be done. But protecting myself wasn't enough. Emily had made me look like a fool in front of everyone I cared about. She'd wasted 2 years of my life, my money, my trust. I needed her to pay. And I had the perfect weapon, the truth. That night, I tracked down Daniel's number. His company website had a direct line. He answered on the second ring. "Who is this?" "I'm Emily's fiancé. Or, ex-fiancé, technically." Silence. "Look, if you're calling to scream at me or threaten me." "I'm not," I interrupted. "Actually, I think we should talk. Because we're both victims of the same woman. We met that same evening at a sports bar. Daniel was taller than I imagined, with that quiet confidence money tends to bring. But when he saw me, his face softened with guilt. Man, he sighed, ordering a beer, I didn't know she was engaged when we started. When did you start? I asked. About 10 months ago. She told me she made a mistake leaving me. Said she still loved me. I was stupid enough to believe her. Did you know she told everyone you cheated on her? Daniel nearly spat his beer. What? I never cheated. I loved her. She's the one who left out of nowhere, said she needed space to grow. I told him everything, about the dinner, the investigation, the texts. He sat in silence, then let out a bitter laugh. So she left me because I was broke. Now I've got money, and suddenly she wants back. Figures. Then he said the thing that froze me. You know what's crazy? I proposed to her last week. Asked her to move to California with me, start fresh. My chest tightened. And what did she say? She said she needed to tie up some loose ends first. The loose ends were me. My money. My house. My stability. Daniel and I sat there until 2 in the morning, two men who had both loved the same liar, finally realizing the truth about her. Two men used by the same woman in different ways. When Daniel and I said goodbye that night, he left me with a warning. Bro, when she realizes I'm done with her, she'll come crawling back to you. What are you gonna do then? I smiled. Something she'll never see coming. 3 months later, I sent Emily a text, we need to talk. I think I made a mistake. She replied in under 5 minutes. Of course. Whenever, wherever. I love you. Pathetic. I chose Il Giardino. Same restaurant. Same table. The place where everything had fallen apart. She arrived 15 minutes early. I watched from the parking lot as she fixed her hair in the mirror. She wore the same blue dress she'd called her lucky charm. She was going to need more than luck. I walked in exactly on time. She jumped up, arms open for a hug. I gave her a handshake instead. The confusion on her face was my first victory of the night. Thanks for coming, I said calmly. Of course I came. I've missed you so much. I ordered a bottle of Chianti. Same as last time. She thought it was a good sign. She didn't know what was coming. I had reserved the big table. She asked why. Because it won't just be us tonight. Right on cue, the others arrived, Brian and Laura, Michael and his girlfriend, Kevin and Amanda. The same people who had seen me humiliated. They sat down, uneasy, sensing something big. Emily froze. What's going on? A family meeting, I said. I want everyone here to hear the truth. I pulled out my tablet. She probably thought I was about to apologize, maybe even repropose in front of everyone. Poor fool. The first slide showed photos of us, vacations, birthdays, the day I proposed. Emily smiled, thinking it was romantic. Then I flipped the screen. Photo of Emily entering the Sunset Inn. Date stamped 2 months after our engagement. Her smile vanished. Next photo, Daniel walking in 15 minutes later. Gasps around the table. Silence. 8 months of secret Thursdays. Pictures of them hugging in the parking lot, kissing beside his car. Laura covered her mouth. Michael clenched his fists. I switched to screenshots of their texts. I miss you so much. He's good to me, but he's not you. Our financial situations need to stabilize first. Emily shot to her feet. Stop this right now. Why? I asked. Don't like people knowing the truth. The room had gone quiet. Other diners had turned to watch. Phones were out, recording. Emily tried to snatch the tablet. I pulled it back. And the best part? I said, my voice steady. She never left Daniel because he cheated. She left him because I had more money. The next slide showed my salary back then, Daniel's scholarship income, all the bills I had covered for her. Clear as day, she was a gold digger. Emily was sobbing now. Please, stop. I love you. Only you. I stood up. Funny thing. Daniel is worth $3 million now. Sold his app to Google. Her eyes widened, a spark of hope breaking through the panic. And then the doors opened. Daniel walked in. The whole restaurant turned as he came to our table. Hello, Emily, he said coldly. She reached for him like a drowning woman. Thank God. We can fix this. What we have is real. Daniel glared. Real? You mean like when you left me for him? Or when you lied about me cheating? Or when you planned to leave him the moment I got rich? Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I don't want a woman who chooses men by their bank accounts, Daniel said. Then he turned and walked out without another word. Emily stood there, broken, while everyone stared. Her siblings looked ashamed. Our friends shook their heads in disgust. One by one, they left her sitting alone. I was the last to rise. I dropped enough cash on the table to cover my drink, nothing more. Emily stumbled after me, crying, but I didn't look back. The same restaurant where she destroyed me was now the stage for her downfall. And the whole world was watching. Some will say I went too far. Maybe. But some lessons have to be burned in to last. Emily learned you can't toy with people's hearts and expect no consequences. I learned I'll never again be anyone's second choice. Revenge isn't just best served cold, it's served frozen.